Hello everyone, what's going on? Today's Wednesday, November 24th, 2013. Let me just say, tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone has a great holiday. Reason I'm saying that is because the episode that we had the other night of Sleepy Hollow was, well, it was the 8th episode, and it was titled Sanctuary, and well, it was set, on today or the day of Thanksgiving, and we have Ichabod and Abby, talking about turkeys and family, and Ichabod's feeling lonely. He really doesn't have anyone but Abby, but that's also a comforting thought that she gives him. While they're in the precinct, it was great. They're sharing a McDonald's meal, and it's funny because Ichabod is picking out every little problem that's with McDonald's. Like the fries are from Dutch or Welsh, native, something like that. And then there's nothing that's got to do with Scottish descent, since the place is called McDonald's. It was a very funny moment for me, or for anyone who watches the show. But Captain Irving calls in the two into his office because we find out that there's a woman, Lena Gilbert, who went missing in Sleepy Hollow a couple days before, and she's a billionaire, and this was also a great, funny moment for Ichabod because he's never heard the term billionaire, because in his time, there was no one that had, not even $1 million. The most they had were a couple 100,000. So he was like, wow, people are billionaires now these days. But Miss Gilbert, she actually turns out to be a descendant of a founding father named of Lachlan Fredericks, who turns out to be a old friend of Ichabod and Katrina's back in, 1700s. And from right there, it strikes Ichabod's interest. Not only that, but also we see that one of the notes that Miss Gilbert left had writing of Katrina C on it, So that was really interesting, why is Ichabod's wife's name written down on this woman's notes? So Ichabod and Abby find out where she went missing at the Fredericks house, and we are taken back to a flashback where Ichabod and Abby first came to that house 250 years ago, and Katrina sees that all the workers there are freed. They're not slaves. And she says, this place is a refuge. It's a sanctuary. So that's where the title of the episode comes in. And, back in present time, Abby and Ichabod enter the house, and they find Miss Gilbert's bodyguard, who's dead in the chair. But then at the same time, they find out that this place is haunted, and they get trapped. So, that's not good, obviously. After, trying to find a way out of the house, they open a door, and they find Miss Gilbert trapped in some vines. And while trying to, cut her out of the vines, Ichabod cuts a branch and it starts bleeding. And from there, the element of a bleeding tree from the 1999 Sleepy Hollow movie came into play at the episode. And at that moment, I was just like, what? Wait, that was from the movie, almost. So that was a very nice little hint to the movie that came out back in the late 90s. But after freeing her, we see a tree monster rise from the fountain outside the house, And when this monster rose, I was just like, whoa, this thing is scary. So it was pretty interesting. And not only was it scary, but go back and watch what this monster looks like. It's a tree monster, and it resembles Groot from Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy so much. Go online or find a picture of both this tree monster from the episode and Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. They look almost identical, so to speak, except for, height difference, obviously. But it was very funny to see, a hint of Marvel in this TV episode. So after freeing Miss Gilbert, the monster finds its way into the house, and the three, Abby, Miss Gilbert, and Ichabod, have to, they end up finding their way into some hidden tunnels throughout the walls of the house, and the three get separated, basically. And getting separated, Abby gets led into a room from a ghost in a maid's outfit, and Abby gets a vision. And it's a vision of Katrina with the maid giving birth to a son. And we find out that Katrina wants to keep this baby a secret from Ichabod, because after Ichabod and Abby are reunited, he finds out he never knew about the son that was born. And it's been bugging me for days. Why did she keep it a secret? It's bugging the hell out of me. So, anyway, Abby and Ichabod find Miss Gilbert as well, and the tree monster is holding her captive, and while trying to escape the house with her, the two find out that inflicting damage on all the roots and branches throughout the house actually are hurting the tree monster as well. And, that helps them out trying to escape. But the thing is, after escaping, everyone escaped, but Ichabod wants to go back into the house, and he has an axe. Because it turns out, when his son was born, the tree monster came to life, and he believes that his son was killed by this monster. So he's out for blood, so to speak, from this tree monster. He's out for revenge. He's pissed. And that's where we see a side of Ichabod we haven't seen, really. We saw a hint of rage in last week's episode, but we really saw, he is just engulfed in rage right now. And, after the battle, we see, just Ichabod covered in blood, and it's just like, it's someone we'd never really saw before. But the next day, it's Thanksgiving, and Abby and Ichabod are in their little hideaway room in the precinct, drinking a little whiskey. It's Ichabod's favorite. But also, after getting back to New York, Miss Gilbert sent over all her research about the Frederick House and Katrina, and we find a family tree starting from a woman named Grace Dixon, who was the maid who actually brought Katrina's son into the world. And it turns out that Abby is the descendant to Miss Dixon. So, from the beginning, both Ichabod and Abby, their fates have been intertwined since then. And it's crazy. This episode is really sentimental, in my opinion, because one, it's a Thanksgiving themed episode. It's the holidays. It's a great time for family and being together. And not only that, Roots were represented in a lot of ways in this episode. You know, with the monster, inflicting damage on Roots, hurt the monster, and roots to our family and our heritage played a role in this episode. In almost everyone's storyline, we saw it in Abby's storyline, in Ichabod's storyline, and also in Captain Irving's, because we actually got to discover that Captain Irving has a daughter named Macy. She's in a wheelchair, and since he's been in Sleepy Hollow, he hasn't been able to see her, like, at all. So that was a nice element to bring into the show. So, like I said, the roots and family are really, like, put into this episode, and, I saw that, and I really enjoyed, a different scene to all this murder and darkness in the show. It was, the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So, anyway, next week's... Oh, sorry, it's not next week, because we have to wait 2 weeks. December 9th, we see the 9th episode of Sleepy Hollow. It's titled The Golem, and we actually see the Sin Eater come back into the show, played by John Noble. He's great. I've seen him in some other stuff, I'm not sure what, but it looks like it's going to be a great episode. It's the mid-season finale. It's that time of the year where mid-season finales are starting. So we'll have that break in between the winter to do whatever we want to do. Anyway, I'm going to head off. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving, like I said, and I hope everyone out there has a good holiday. So I will see you all later, and have a good day. Bye.